FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps, and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Thank you for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps, and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Thank you for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps, and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps, and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps, and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. you for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps, and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. For listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps, and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. For listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps, and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Thank you for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps, and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Thank you for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps, and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps, and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. FIFA Club World Cup round of 16 is Borussia Dortmund. It's Monterrey. It's another one of those intriguing Europe versus South America matchups. Very much looking forward to this one. We are too. Added edge, perhaps, on this one as well. The fact that Real Madrid have beaten Juventus 1-0. They're through to the quarterfinals. They will play the winners of this one. And of course, if it's Borussia Dortmund, it will be a match-up between the two Bellingham brothers going face to face for the first time in their playing career. That could be quite some evening. Well, two sets of players are just coming out. Their introductions one by one have got underway down on pitch side. The smoke coming out of the pumps on the ground, and well, even the floodlights are being flashed on and off. But Borussia Dortmund are out there, Monterrey are being introduced. Let me introduce you to the two teams as well ahead of kick-off. Borussia Dortmund, first of all, they're in great form. Won 8 and drawn one of their last 9 since crashing out of the Champions League. A humbling 4-0 first leg defeat in the quarter-final at Barcelona. Since then, the Schwarzgelben have been in excellent form. They finished the season on a high. They have big aspirations for next season. To finish in the quarter-final at the very least in this competition would be deemed another positive move in the right direction for Niko Kovac and his team. Well, Borussia Dortmund make just the one change. It's a return to the side for Niklas Süle in defence. So Julian Ryerson switches back out to the right side of a 5-man defence. Otherwise, it's unchanged. Jan Koto is the player who drops down to the bench, the Brazilian. And so Dortmund line up with their captain and goalkeeper Gregor Kobel. The back three of Süle, Anton and Benzabani. The two wing-backs, Ryerson on the right, Svensson on the left. Pascal Gross and Felix Mecha in midfield. And then Adeyemi, Job Bellingham and Serhur Girassi are the front three. A packed bench as always, two goalkeepers, Ostrinsky and Maya, and Reina, Duranville, Koulibaly, Bayer, Brandt, Mane, Kuto, Albert, Azil, Benkara, and then Sabitzer and Cole Campbell, the USA Under-20 international. That's the bench. There is no Nico Schlotterbeck, long-term injury. Jamie Gittins is on the brink of joining Chelsea. Emre Can is also injured, and also out today, Chani Chukwemeka with an injury. Well, what about Monterrey? They've rung the changes, 4 of them in total. They bring in 2 new fullbacks in Arteaga and Aguirre. And Jorge Rodriguez returning to solidify that midfield three, and Sergio Canales is preferred on the wing to Alfonso Alvarado. So they have Esteban Andrada in goal. They've got a back four of Eric Aguirre, Stefan Medina, Sergio Ramos, who needs no introduction, of course, and he's the captain, and Gerardo Arteaga. And then Oliver Torres, Jorge Rodriguez, and Nelson Diosa in midfield. Sergio Canales in on the left, Jesus Corona on the right, experienced winger, and Germain Bentarama in attack, the Argentine-born Mexican international. Chavez, Guzman, Reyes, Fimbres, Ortiza, Sanchez, Moreno, Campos, Gonzalez, Rojas, Alvarado, and De La Rosa, along with Santiago Mela and Luis Gardinas, the two goalkeepers. Just about ready to get underway. It's some occasion this, the round of 16. Monterrey in their change strip of white today. It's the usual black and gold of Borussia Dortmund. Just about ready to get going. Referee today is Facundo Tella. He's from Argentina. He's assisted by Juan Belatti. So Gabriel Benitez, fourth official, is Juan Benitez, Juan Lara of Chile, and Lamanso Villarreal of USA are the VAR. It's Borussia Dortmund. Borussia Dortmund against Monterrey. Ready to get underway. As I say, it's one of those matches up Europe against South America. That makes it all the more intriguing. Two sets of players all ready to go. The referee just needing the final say-so. Interesting, this one, that the Bellingham brothers to go face to face. If they win today, Borussia Dortmund, that would make Saturday's tie intriguing, and the build-up will be quite fascinating for those two young English brothers to go face to face. So Monterrey, the only surviving Mexico-based club, the only team that made it through the group stages from Mexico. We'll be hoping that they can make it through to the quarter-final. Half-full stadium, not full tonight. We're at the Mercedes-Benz stadium. Now off and underway. Coming out of his penalty area early on here is Esteban Andrada. Quick throw-in from Adeyemi. It's Borussia Dortmund starting on the front foot. Back out wide again to Ryerson. Ryerson hooks it in. He was slightly slipping as he got that cross in. It's a very dry pitch, you feel, tonight. That might favour the Mexicans who get the ball clear through Arteaga. One back very well. Dependable Julian Ryerson, the Norwegian. Now a burst forward. Svensson into the penalty area. Adeyemi managed to do just about enough there, Arteaga, to slip in and make the block. Corner, which is going to be taken by Svensson, who won the corner initially with the ball forward into the penalty area. And it comes eventually. Flick it on at the near post, so it was Mecha. It's a foul. Down goes. It's like Olivier Torres who got caught, and suddenly there's a little bit of fraction between the two sets of players, which the Argentine referee is keen to avoid. Pulls over the two captains nice and early on for a quick warning. Coming together between Nicolas Sula and Olivier Torres. Free kick to Monterrey, right on the edge of their penalty area. It's steered wide by Jorge Rodriguez, and they will work their way down the right-hand side, trying to get forward. It's Nelson Diosa, Colombian. One thing they are is a very good football inside. They've, on one of their last 4 matches, are not in the type of form that Dortmund are in. It must be favourites, therefore. There's a throw into Dortmund, and it is going to be taken by Svensson. Chucks it forward to Adeyemi, who was bumped there by a determined Nelson Diosa. That will be a free kick. Adeyemi, former Salzburg player, chopped down after the ball had run its course. I can start again with tall Ben Sabalik, former Mönchengladbach and Rennes player at the back, winning a throw-in on the far side, the Algerian international. She'll leave for Daniel Svensson. Svensson, the Swede. Chuck forward to Adeyemi. This time he flicks it over his shoulder and he goes after it, but it's blocked well by Aguirre. The midfield, a determined challenge from Jorge Rodriguez. They will give nothing short of determination in that midfield, the three of Rodriguez, Torres and Diosa. That's where they will have to dig deep, the likes of Paschal, Gross and Mecha. It could be an area where the game is won and lost. And remember, there are 3 against 2 in there. It'll be an overload from the Mexicans, who win a free kick on the halfway line. Innocence plead by Valdemar Anton, who went through the back of Valderrama. Free kick to the Mexicans. Showing no mercy in their pursuit of bragging rights in Mexico on the likes of social media and in the media for being the only club that made it through to the knockout stages. They've been in better form in terms of their performances than their results. One win coming against Iwara Red Diamonds, and they beat the Japanese side 4-0 with ease. Bertarama into the penalty area for Monterrey. First forage forward, and they've concluded it with a corner. On the left-hand side rather, Sergio Canales, the Spanish international, is coming forward to take it. We've run into him before during his time with Los Blancos. Could have a meet-up with his previous club. If he can get through this, a big game for him. Canales whips it in, it's headed away with considerable ease by Mecha. Another ball into the box, trying to pull it back quickly. The far side was Bertarama, but it's an easy gather for Gregor Korbel. Swiss goalkeeper, who has played over 100 times for Dortmund. There's plenty of grappling in the box. And Sergio Ramos has gone flying to the ground from a wrestle with Waldemar Anton. So they've got away with that one. If the VAR did have a close look, they might have been that a penalty. Here come Dortmund, played out wide by Sergio Ganassi, who's been scoring goals for fun. Job, recent signing from Sunderland. Back inside by the strong midfielder Mecha. Out wide by Gross, finding on the right-hand side Ryerson, level with the edge of the penalty area, trying to take on Arteaga. Arteaga keeps it tight. Ryerson plays it down the line. Cross coming in from Basco Gross. It's headed away at first knockings on the edge of the area by Medina, the edge of the 6-yard area. Dortmund go again. Ryerson on the overlap. Gross. Adeyemi trying to weave his way through. There was 3 to beat there, and good footed by Sergio Ramos, who was never going to let Adeyemi through there. So, Monterrey deal with that little flurry of pressure from Dortmund. They have a throw in. Arteaga all the way back to his goalkeeper. Andrada, the goalkeeper, who's played 100 times for his club as well. 200 appearance goalkeepers for their respective clubs tonight. It's all the way back from Daniel Svensson to his goalkeeper at the other end, Gregor Korbel, who is also the captain of Dortmund. Long ball forward, the very tall Guirassy winning the ball in the air. He's been banging in the goals this season, of course. Guirassy, 35 in all competitions, 21 in the Bundesliga. This week, Dortmund found out that they will be starting their Bundesliga campaign with a tricky away tie in Hamburg against St. Pauli. And they host Union Berlin in match day 2. They've forced a corner here down the right-hand side of Monterrey. Good running forward by Jesus Corona. Came off a Svensson corner, second in succession for Monterrey. 10 minutes gone. Borussia Dortmund 0, Monterrey 0. Comes out and the corner is cleared away, and there's a forceful shot from distance from Nelson Diaz. He's really hit it ferociously, but it was straight at Korbel. It's an easy save. So now from one end to the other. Long ball forward, Guirassy trying to get away through into the penalty area, but Jorge Rodriguez is there to slide in. Rodriguez into the side today. He is a holding midfielder that can also play in the back line. Looks exactly what he's doing. He's playing in that back line. Gone like for like, it seems. It was the appearance of the lineup that he would play in midfield, but it very much looks as if he's playing at the back. He's put this one behind. Second corner of the game for Dortmund. Sergio Ramos having a full-blown conversation with Pascal Gross. Wriggles his way away from Ramos. In comes the corner underneath the crossbar. It was met by the head of Sula. And knocked back out wide again to Ryerson, the corner taker. It was good play picking it up there from Arteaga. They can clear their lines, Monterrey. They've been the better side so far, Dortmund, but haven't really been able to create anything. Sula back to Benzabeni. Sula just exchanging passes. Mecha. Now Job gets it wide to the fullback Svensson, who loves to get forward. A dazzling run from Mecha. Finding Svensson again on the left-hand side. He goes all the way back to Benzabeni. Benzabeni's ball out to the right. It's controlled well by Julian Ryerson, the Norwegian. Ryerson lays it off to Gross. Gross onto the left foot, swings it wide to the left-hand side, taken on the chest by Joe. Gives it to Svensson. He's heading backwards though, away from the penalty area. Sends it all the way back to Waldemar Anton. Experienced back line that Dortmund have got. Here's Adeyemi, and here is Guirassy, and that is what he has been doing all season long for Dortmund. Brilliant finishing. Adeyemi just slips it through, and Guirassy says thank you very much. Gave the goalkeeper the eyes and slipped it past the right boot of Andrada. And with 13.5 minutes gone, it is Borussia Dortmund that take the lead in the battle between Europe and South America. The Mexicans undone. The ball in from the left-hand side was an accurate one from Svensson to the feet of Guirassy. He just laid it into Adeyemi, who returned it first time back into the penalty area. Short and sharp, incisive. Guirassy takes it out of his feet, and with his right foot just sweeps it past the advancing goalkeeper. That is an excellent Borussia Dortmund goal, and the German side lead. And it's Guirassy's 36th goal of the season. They drew first blood very early on here, Dortmund. A rare club match-up between Germany and Mexico, and they're coming again. Guirassy into the penalty area, trying to return the favour for Adeyemi. Picks it up, goalkeeper to beat, but from a very wide angle. Chips it back into the 6-yard box. Hacked away by Rodriguez. Very taken quickly. Ryerson gets it back from Adeyemi. They're putting the pressure on here. Dortmund. Adeyemi wide on the near side, which is the right. Dortmund in their yellow shirts and black shorts, attacking the end away to our right-hand side. Monterrey in all white tonight. Actually playing navy blue and white. There was an offside flag up against Ryerson. Mexican fans are here in their numbers, and they have been making lots of noise. There are plenty of empty seats around the house. But I think once we get to the quarter-final stage, we're going to be looking at bigger crowds. The likes of Chelsea will be looking to draw on greater support. The likes of the European clubs, a lot of those fans are not going to be able to come out for a month, but they've probably planned to come out for the final 2 weeks of the competition. Come Monterrey over the halfway line with Stefan Medina. Played over 300 appearances for the club. And his debut 11 years ago. Colombian international, so much experience there. Two sides with a back line. 6 defenders on show. No one is under the age of 28. There are very experienced players, and the back lines of 3. They're winning the battle at the moment, Dortmund, because the 2 wing-backs are getting forward more. I haven't seen much of Aguirre and Arteaga, but here is Arteaga venturing forward down the left-hand side for Monterrey. Running to the channel from Jesus Corona. Corona up against Ryerson, hangs it in towards a near post, and that was very menacing, that ball, and Cobo had to readjust at his near post, collided with the post as he pushed it away. It was a dangerous ball in that just caught the Dortmund goalkeeper by surprise. Here he is again, Corona on the left-hand side. Ryerson trying to push him away from goal, and then rising shot towards goal from Nelson Diosa. It's handled well by the Borussia Dortmund goalkeeper. Nelson Diosa's hit was decent enough. It hit the outside of the post. Didn't actually get touched. We're just seeing that again. And cross from the right-hand side, from the left-hand side rather, from Corona. Ripped it straight in. It came back off the post. It was a little bit of a let-off there. Goalkeeper was caught a bit on the near. Fans kicking every ball. Passionate, noisy, enthusiastic. Keeping the ball at the moment, Monterrey. To Medina, and into Torres. Has a look out to the left-hand side. Taking out Artiego, who's starting to get forward, the Mexican international. Wide further still to Corona. Corona, that's a decent looking ball in. It's flicked away by Benzabani. Probably not the best option. It was going through, and really Svensson had a chance to clear the ball, facing away from his own goal. He probably would have got more distance on it. He's returned back into the box by Aguirre. It's gathered well by Cobo. Now they can bring the ball out from the back. Sula. It's out to the near side. A chip forward by Pascal Gross down the middle towards Adeyemi. Adeyemi can't get there though. Adeyemi, German international, of course. Brought in from Salzburg in 2021. He's been with the club now for 4 years. 12 goals last season. Here's a ball through the middle. This is a chance for 1-1, and that's an excellent save. It was Corona that found himself onside. Then the flag goes up after the goalkeeper makes the save. Corona through, goalkeeper to beat. Coble came out, made himself big. And that's the difference between the two sides, really. Although there was an offside flag, it wouldn't have counted. It was marginal. Do you know what? If he'd scored there may have been a little bit of a VAR inquest. It's kind of 70-30 whether he was offside from that angle, which is not flush, the angle camera that we're seeing on the monitor here. I think he may have just been off, but it was marginal. It was through on goal there, Jesus Corona. It was that big ball down the middle that caused Dortmund all sorts of problems. Dortmund coming forward with Benzabani. Matcha. Taking over is Garasi. Garasi coming deep. Bellingham. Play from Dortmund to keep the ball. Matcha again, tall, strong. Bellingham now out to the right hand side. Ryerson, that's a great ball in. Oh, that could have easily been 2-0. What a great ball that was from Ryerson. And Bellingham was in there, and Adeyemi was in there, and it was so teasing. It was actually good defending in the end to knock it behind for a corner from Eric Aguirre. If he doesn't get that, Bellingham would have nodded it in at the back post. Adeyemi couldn't quite reach it before the defender. And he was fortunate there, Eric O'Reilly. He got the opportunity to stick a toe in and put it behind, but Dias Schwarzer-Galben are looking for a second here. Ryerson has gone over, moves the effects mic in the corner, a big fluffy effects mic on the stand they have in the corners, the broadcasters. Corner for Dortmund. Comes with 21 minutes on the clock. Again, it's swung in by one of the two Scandinavian wing-backs. It's delivered by Ryerson, headed away. The referee spots an infringement on the goalkeeper and gives a free kick to Monterrey. And it remains 1-0 to Dortmund. We're having another look at the goal. Super goal. Gave the goalkeeper the eyes and just rolled it into the corner. Very good finishing from Gurasi. Finishing of a master craftsman, right into the corner, just dragged it in, lovely. Finishing, looked every inch that of a striker that's got 36 goals now. Adeyemi causing problems with his pace down the left-hand side. Getting there first just is Jorge Rodriguez, who clears the ball, the Argentine, former Banfield and Estudiantes player. So, Dortmund yet again. Anton into the feet of Pascal Gross. Benzabani to Svensson. Svensson to the feet of Job Bellingham. Almost got back to Svensson. Svensson with a foul. Just went into the back of Nelson Diaz, who went down incredibly easy. They're always going to be free kicks, those on the halfway line. At the halfway point in the first half, and Dortmund good value for their 1-0 lead, but they haven't created an awful lot. Bellingham could have made it 2 just now. That teasing ball in from Ryerson. The goal was a work of art between Adeyemi and Gurasi, returning the ball back to Gurasi was Adeyemi, and he finished with extreme competence. Here come Monterrey. Haven't created much themselves so far. Good challenge by Ryerson to win the ball back off of Ortega and releases Adeyemi down the left. They're down the right-hand side. Adeyemi into the penalty area. He's got no one at the moment for support. Now he has, and he comes back to Garassi, and he makes it two. A second assist for Adeyemi. A second goal for Sergio Garassi. So simple. One big long ball. That came from Ryerson again, who won the ball back off of Ortega, who was challenging too far down the pitch really, and left Monterrey exposed down that left-hand side. Quick ball into that channel. Such clever play by Ryerson to win the ball back and then expose the Mexicans with one ball. And when he plays that ball forward, he knows exactly where Adeyemi's going to run, and he runs into the channel, into the penalty area, has to hold it up, has to bide his time, waits for Garassi, knocks it back to the edge of the penalty area. His side foots it into the opposite corner to where he put the first goal. Two for Garassi, two for Dortmund. I think we're looking at a Bellingham party on Saturday, aren't we? Joe Bellingham against Jude Bellingham. Real Madrid against Borussia Dortmund is looking very likely at the moment. Great finishing from Garassi. I tell you what, Real Madrid have got their work cut out keeping this big man quiet. 9 goals in 23 for Guinea. The former Rennes and Stuttgart player just keeps on scoring goals. 37 now for the campaign. He's on a hat-trick. Monterrey are on the brink. 2 goals in 10 minutes, and Dortmund have taken a controlling interest in this last round of 16 time. Monterrey have got to try and find a way to stem the flow and create something. They need the next goal in this game now. A third goal for Dortmund and surely it's over. It's been very good for the Germans. Ball over the top. Here's Garassi. This might be his third, but, well, he just took it down and the flag was up anyway. But as he took it down, it was rammed away by Ramos. Sergio Ramos. It's the unmistakable defender who played nearly 500 times for Real Madrid. He played for Paris Saint-Germain, he played for Seville. Near 200 appearances for his country, Spain. 39-year-old, played 10 times for Real Madrid against Dortmund. Scored against Dortmund in the 2013 Champions League semi-final second leg. But Dortmund did have the last laugh, winning 4-3 and going through to the final. He's played 10 against them. 1-4, drawn 3, lost 3 against Dortmund. A few battles down the years with some great Dortmund sides, some great Madrid sides as well. Real Madrid, Dortmund rivalry, which of course is back on the cards. Monterrey will want to get there as well. The likes of Sergio Ramos. So keen to play against his old club. Olivier Torres in midfield. Used to play for Atletico Madrid. Love the opportunity to reunite with the old City rivals during his days with Atleti. It's not looking good for Ramos and the Real reunion at the moment. 2-0 down. Garassi with 2 goals, 2 well-taken goals, both set up by Adeyemi. Here is Mecha. Out for the back by Anton, but it's given away in the midfield by Bellingham. Pick it back up again with Corona. Corona finding the feet of Olivier Torres. Porto, Sevilla, and as I mentioned just earlier, Atleti midfielder. He's got it back here from Ortega. All the way back to the halfway line, but they look a little bit disjointed at the moment, Monterrey. Double blow, conceding those 2 goals. They go down the right-hand side, and taking a tumble was Diosa. Challenge from Bellingham. Joe Bellingham receives the first yellow card of the game. Foul over by the corner flag. His opponent tumbling. What that does mean is it's just a big spoiler, this one. Joe Bellingham will miss the game against Real Madrid if Dortmund go through. So there will be no Bellingham reunion on Saturday after all. Joe Bellingham will be suspended for that game. That's his second yellow card of the competition. So he'll have to sit that out, the 19-year-old. How does he react to that? He won't be playing against his brother at the weekend. It's a free kick for Monterrey. There's still work to do here for Dortmund. They lead by 2-0 if you are just joining us. 2 goals from Sergio Guirassy, the goal machine. Free kick whipped in for the right-hand side. It's just too high. The attacking Sergio Ramos. Coming forward again now with Diarsa. He's going to hit it. He's pushed away by the goalkeeper, Corbel. Back in it comes again. And the header from Artiego is not the tallest. He's put that one well wide of the target. Might have come off a defender, in fact. No, it hasn't. It is a goal kick. It's a good hit, this, from Diarsa. He can hit the ball. He's had a couple of efforts. Took a slight deflection. It was swerving as well. He had to change his direction slightly there, Corbel, to push it away. Well, they have been limited to shots from range, the Mexicans. Domestically, he lost in May, having reached the MX, the Liga MX playoffs. They lost to Toluca on away goals, 4-4 in an exciting 180 minutes of football between those two over the course of 2 matches. Take of failure in domestic league via the playoffs, spurring them to do well in the Club World Cup. Ball forward by Artiega. Torres to Artiega again, dribbling forward into the Borussia Dortmund half. The ball at the moment, Canales. Canales was sitting behind the striker Berteramo, who's been on the periphery so far. Still, really watching dominance from Borussia Dortmund. There's a foul by Benzabani, right? Stripped Berterami in his tracks, so a free kick for Monterrey. Trail here by 2-0. Throwing over on the far side to Dortmund. Svensson takes it down the line, it goes. This is Joe to Guirassy. Oh, this is a great ball. Guirassy just wide. Bellingham to Guirassy this time, and he thought that might have been the hat-trick. He went sliding in. Great play from Mecha to find Joe Bellingham's pass. Well, he's not affected by the fact that he's picked up a yellow card that will mean he misses the next match if they make it through to the quarterfinals against his brother's side, Real Madrid. But that was a great ball in, and Guirassy showing us that he is human after all by putting that one wide. Sliding in, just couldn't get the direction, the big man. Sergio Ramos out to the right-hand side, Maguire. Medina. Ball up to the halfway line, returned forward by Bellingham, who's just in the left-back position at the moment. It goes straight to Artiego, whose last rampaging run forward. Saw him upended by Ryerson, took the ball, played it straight down the line, and 2-0. Sergio Ramos to Artiego again. It's neatly done by Canales. Corona. Canales again. It's a good spell this from Monterrey, but it needs an end product. It needs some more adventure in the final third. As I say, everything that they've had at the moment in the way of chances has come courtesy of shots from distance. A couple of decent looking efforts from Diarsa. Way down the right-hand side with a quiet. It's a neat turn by Corona. Whose cross earlier on hit the outside of the post, almost caught Corbel by surprise. As close as they've come to hitting the target. It's the goal frame, albeit speculative, perhaps not intended. The former FC20 of Porto player, the Mexican international. Very experienced, Jesus Corona, 70 caps for his country. Garassi with 2 goals, and he could have had a hat-trick just a couple of minutes ago. That ball in from Joe. Just wide. The only previous club meeting between Mexico and Germany was a couple of years ago at the FIFA Intercontinental Cup. Bayern Munich 1, Tigres 0. Germany came out on top that day. They're on top very much here at the moment. Ball into the box from the left-hand side by the Swede Svensson, almost finding the Norwegian Ryerson. Pascal Gross goes to the return from Adeyemi, plays it in, and Garassi had a tap in, and somehow Andrade kept that out. That was almost game over. It looked like a hat-trick was certain, and somehow he made his way across the face of goal, Andrade, and made the save. Rolled forward by Benzabani. Then by Anton. Pascal Gross, who was big influence there on that one, should have been a hat-trick goal. Cushioned forward by Svensson. It's well played by Bellingham. People drawing comparisons between the Bellingham brothers. It's a shame, really, to that yellow card, so we'll miss out on the quarter-final. Marry up. Very similar players. If anything, I think he's slightly bigger, slightly taller. I don't think there's quite so much flair there, but there is a definite resemblance. That ball in from Pascal Gross. It was a brilliant save by the goalkeeper's foot. Well, Andrade has just kept Monterrey's slim hopes of facing Real Madrid on Saturday alive. That could have been 3-0. Joe had to play it out wide, but it's a great ball to Mecha. Stefan Medina, experienced Colombian. Back to his goalkeeper. Andrade out to the left-hand side, and Artiega. Well, having a look at that, and I can't be too critical of a man that has scored 2 cracking goals tonight. Garassi really should have scored there. He could have had 4. He's had 2 misses to go with the 2 chances. He's had 2 big moments to seal the hat-trick. And for a man that's scored that many goals on the top stage, you really expect him to score those. Had he done so, Monterrey would have been waving goodbye. Looked good tonight of Dortmund. Monterrey just haven't got going. There's Pascal Gross having a good game in the midfield, a former Brighton and Hove Albion player. 14 assists last season, and he very nearly made it 15. That ball into Garassi, and here's a ball through the middle to Adeyemi. Couldn't quite control it, and that allowed the ball to run through to Andrade, who comes out. And the offside flag then goes up against Adeyemi. It's good foil, Adeyemi, for Garassi. It's a good front 2. Kind of just in that number 10 row. Bellingham just a bit further back. They've got a good system going there. Dortmund. Can they lay a glove on Bayern Munich next season in the Bundesliga? Well, only time will tell. You get the feeling they're going to need to strengthen. They'll need more depth. They are without Gittins, who will be departing, so there will be a need for fresh blood. Schlotterbeck, Chukwuemeka, Chan, all missing today as well for Dortmund, but they're not missing them. Leading here by 2 goals to nil, and 37 minutes is looking very much like a Dortmund Real Madrid quarter-final. The business end of the season now. This is the final round of 16 match, the 8th game in this round. 1 or 2 surprises on the way. Al Hilal last night beating Manchester City being one of them. Doesn't look like there's going to be a shock here. Europe flexing their muscles in the shape of Borussia Dortmund at the moment. But if Monterrey can get the next goal, it livens this up from a neutral point of view. Ball forward from Ramos. An interesting ball, but it zips off the dry surface and behind for a goal kick. I think that is one of the criticisms I hate. With those storms as well last week, where 5 games were delayed because of thunder and lightning. The pitches have looked very dry as well at times. This one today just looks dry. It feels dry, the way the game is being played on it. Associate this playing surface with being lush, green though it is. Just feel the dryness of it. The stadiums that are being used for the World Cup next year, and indeed for this FIFA Club World Cups, aren't necessarily just, as they say over here, soccer stadiums. They're used for the likes of NFL as well. Andrada, the goalkeeper, rolls it out, but it's won back by Bellingham. Bellingham down the left-hand side. Joe Bellingham back to Svensson. Forward by Benzabani. It wasn't a good pass to Gross. 56% possession of Dortmund to 34 for Monterrey. 10% in the middle. As they call it, in contention. We should just split that 2 ways. It's either theirs or ours. It's a lot easier that way. That's the fairest of indications. And the Americans have come up with a new way of doing it, 3-way system. I'm sure it actually adds anything to it. If anything, it makes it more confusing. Rodriguez out wide to Maguire, all the way back to Andrada, works it out to Ramos, and now Ramos has to face up to Adeyemi. Doesn't fancy that much, so he goes back to his goalkeeper Andrada. Ball forward is an interesting one as well. Scooting after it down the left is Corona. Corona gets there first ahead of Ryerson. Still Corona coming inside. Good defending by Sula. It's not been cleared properly yet. Artiega. It's across from Bertarame. Another chance of a hammer blow maybe from distance from Diosa. Doesn't get the shot in this time. It's over towards the far side. Nagoya pulling it back, and now the opening at the edge of the penalty area, and it's Torres this time, and he lifts that high over the top of the crossbar and a goal kick. I think he might have just been onside as he scooted down the left-hand side there. Corona certainly got the better of Ryerson. Stopped by the goalkeeper's feet rather than the block. Yeah, it was stopped by the leg of Corbell. Down as a shot on target. Monterrey need at the moment aren't shots on target, they're goals that they need. It's been won back by Sula. No, says the referee, to the foul, please, from the Mexicans. They won it back again from Diosa. Diosa. It's Torres. Coming deep, Canales. Torres again, inside his own half, just. Now it's forward into the Borussia Dortmund half with Jesus Corona. To pull the strings from deep. Olivier Torres, the Spaniard. Spanish reunion is not looking likely at the moment for Sergio Ramos. We'll wait and see if that changes. Stefan Medina. Monterrey need the next goal in this game for sure. They've got 3 minutes of the first half to perhaps reduce the deficit going in at half time. Good hold up play by Bertarame. Off the shoulder is Benzabani, and Benzabani presses him, and it's Adeyemi who goes for the return from Guirassy. Well, it was that combination again, the opposite way round to goal 1 and goal 2. Didn't quite make it straight back through again to Guirassy from the pass. Cleared away by Medina. This is a quiet long ball forward. It's an easy header back inside by Sula. Back by Ryerson to his goalkeeper. Ball out, underarm by Kerbal. Swish the goalkeeper. 6'5", 27-year-old goalkeeper. He's done very well so far. A couple couple of saves, but they have been all speculative from angles and from distance. Adeyemi's ball has gone straight to Diasa. He can just lay it inside for Corona. Corona, quick ball forward. This is chance maybe here for Bertrame into the penalty area. Canales tries to hang it in. Strikes Anton and goes behind for a corner. That's a bit better from Monterrey. Not sure that Corona was actually onside. There's nothing come of it. It won't be inspected. It came off of Bellingham last, actually. So corner with a minute and a half of the first half remaining. I can't see there being a lot of injury time. No substitutions. A couple of quick goal celebrations. That's about it. A couple of minutes at most. Headed away by Mecha. As far as Arteaga. Chip back in again from Diasa to the left-hand side. It's got too much pace on it for Jesus Corona. Zips away off the surface and out for a goal kick. And Monterrey coach Dominic Torrent has work to do. Torrent was the number 2 for Pep Guardiola over the course of 3 seasons at Bayern Munich. 3 Bundesligas, 2 DFB Pokal Cups. He knows all about the rivalry between Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund. Dortmund and Munich both still in this competition. Looks like they'll both be in the quarter-finals. Monterrey, the Mexican interest looks as if it's going to end. There's still time for Monterrey to get back into this game. We've got about 20 seconds of the first half remaining. We'll find out how much injury time. I can't imagine it's going to be more than 2. There's no injuries. It's been pretty free-flowing this first half. Adeyemi on the left-hand side. It's caused all sorts of problems, but he was actually in an offside position according to the assistant referee on this near side. Juan Belletti from Argentina. Looks very stern-faced as he holds the flag up. Holding the board up is the 4th official, Jean Benitez of Paraguay, and it says 2 minutes added time. It did say no more than 2. Sergio Ramos gets it back again from Sergio Canales. 2 Spaniards. We have 3 Spaniards in this side. Do Monterrey. To that. A couple of Argentinians and a Colombian. The rest of Mexico. Lanced forward on this near side by Corona. Come back to him again. Canales. Way back to Sergio Ramos. 39 years of age now, Sergio Ramos. What a player, what a career. The final members of his career in South America and with Mexico. I think associate them being South American. Of course, they're not really South American, Central, aren't they? Central American side. Mexico national team are still very much alive in the Gold Cup, which is also taking place in America at the moment, keeping Americans busy. Mexico will play tomorrow against Honduras, replacing the final, where they will play USA most likely, or Guatemala. Surprise package that have gone through for the semi-finals in Canada on penalties in the quarter-finals. Here, Borussia Dortmund are doing everything right. They're at seconds away from being 2-0 up at half-time. Canales all the way back to the halfway line, and Ramos, and the referee points to the halfway line and blows his whistle, and 2 goals from Sergio Guirassy. He's 36th and 37th for the season, both assists by Karim Adeyemi. Borussia Dortmund in control. Guirassy had 2 further chances where he really should have scored. But Borussia Dortmund not quite there yet, but they're in a very commanding position. Monterrey have got to get the next goal in this game. Whether they get it or not, well, we'll find out after this break for the second half in around about 15 minutes' time. Short channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. for listening to Footmob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out Footmob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. For listening to Footmob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out Footmob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. Listening to Footmob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. Thank you for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. Thank you for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. listening to Footmob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out Footmob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. Listening to Footmob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps and more in-depth info on the match page. still in with a sniff in this game, but they need the next goal. So very well taken. Gadassi goals the difference between the two sides, but he could have had a hat-trick. Two really good chances before half-time. He put wide. Good work from Joe Bellingham. One somehow close range. He didn't score. Andrade making a block with his feet. Close, very close range. Now the big news of the first half, Joe Bellingham yellow carded, so he'll miss Saturday's quarter-final if Dortmund do go through. That, of course, will be a reunion with his brother against Dortmund. Should be quick, that match. If it goes through, Monterrey might have something to say about that. Ball in the midfield with Diosa. Held up well by Canales. He might be the go-to man in that number 10 position. Number 10 on the shirt as well. He's lurking on the edge of the penalty area. Cross comes in, and it's met by the head, and they've got one back. And that's made things very interesting. Well, they needed a goal, and they've got it for Jermaine Bertarame, who's been on the periphery. But the Mexicans are given a lifeline within 2.5 minutes of the restart. Well, it was a ball sent in from the left-hand side. I said that Sergio Canales was lurking at the edge of the box. It seemed to go in towards the 6-yard box. It was beaten in the air by Svensson. It was caught out. Headed back across by Aguera. And then met by the head of Bertarama. He just knocks the ball into the corner. Bertarama with the goal on 48 minutes. Makes it 2-1. Centre forward scores. The other end, it's been the centre forward that scored both the goals for Dortmund, who lead by 2 goals to 1. Suddenly it's game on. It needed that from a neutral point of view, I think. Still, despite conceding that goal, you feel that Dortmund are in the box seat. Still got work to do. 2-goal cushion quickly halved in the blink of an eye. Neatly controlled down the left-hand side. Ryerson. For the challenge there to Ben Sabani. He's now been caught out of position. Aguirre now weaving his way forward. Diosa had the last touch there, so challenge from Joe Bellingham, and it's going to be a throw to Dortmund. Got the goal that they needed. Monterrey wasn't particularly good defending. Daniel Svensson at the left-back position. He's got to get a better header in than that, the full-back. He's let it over his head, the Swede, and it's allowed Aguero to get the ball across. Now here comes Adeyemi for Dortmund. Adeyemi trying to get the better of Diosa. Diosa's done really well. Adeyemi's fighting back. That'll be a free kick. Free kick to Monterrey. Foul by Adeyemi. The Mexican fans have been great. They've been here in their numbers. They've enjoyed the experience. They've made lots of noise tonight. It's felt like a home game at times for them. Free kick, and they have a lifeline. Carlos not going to go down without a fight. Borussia Dortmund 2, Monterrey 1. Sets things up really nicely now. Dortmund were good value for their 2-0 lead. They could have killed it off. Grassi's probably gone in at half-time, not purring about his 2 goals, but cursing the 2 that he missed to complete the first half hat-trick. Svensson has a throw-in down below. And certainly you've got to apportion some blame. He should have done better with the header. He was beaten in the air by Aguero at the near post. He's got to be winning that header. Minutes into the second half. To his goalkeeper, Andrade. Lina comes short again. Out to Aguirre. One back in the midfield though. Altamara Anton, but it was a rush ball forward and it's gone straight through the middle of everybody. Straight out for a goal kick. Dortmund have got a fair sprinkling of fans behind that goal away to our left that their team are attacking in this second half. They're a very well supported club, both in Germany and globally. So often bridesmaid to Bayern Munich, of course. And they cross paths at some point in this competition, who knows? Dortmund have got work to do before they can start thinking about Real Madrid in Saturday's quarter-final. 2-1 here. Monterrey have been lifted by that goal. Diosa, ball over the top, and it's a good ball as well. And this is Corona, who pulls it back, and it's up in the air from Ryerson. Out of play on the far side for a throw into Monterrey. Monterrey started the second half well. They want the throw on the far side. The referee said, hold on a second. Something somewhere is being said in his ear by VAR. Not sure what it is, but it's passed as quickly as it arrived. Juan Yara of Chile had something to say in the ear of the referee. Facundo Tella from Argentina. Throwing inside. Rodriguez, who's joined into the midfield now as he can, because he's a defender that has played in midfield. It's a shot from distance from Aguero. The Mexican international has pulled that well wide of target, now for a goal kick to the relief of Borussia Dortmund. So, all to play for now. It looked comfortable for Dortmund at half-time. It's not looking anywhere near as comfortable now. Monterrey have come out and they look a little bit more edgy, a little bit more dangerous. Goal kick to Dortmund. Kobel has waved his two defenders forward and he's going to go long. He's the dashing lilac goalkeeping kit. He drills the ball down the centre, slightly to the left. Bypasses Garassi, bypasses Joe Bellingham. Away by Aguero. And the header up in the air by Nicolas Sula. Sula then lofts it. Won't come down quick enough for Pascal Gross on the far side. Cleared away by Arteaga. Monterrey winning the ball back, but in doing so, committed a foul on Felix Mecha. Mecha bringing the ball down. His shirt pulled from behind by Sergio Canales. Sabitzer is about to come on to add some experience to that midfield for Dortmund when they need it most. It looks like he's going to come on for Joe Bellingham, who has put in the shift and looked good at times. And it will kind of solidify that midfield with Gross and Mecha. They want to win that battle, and Sabitzer knows how to do that, that's for sure. Sabitzer comes at the expense of Joe Bellingham, who of course is on that yellow card as well and misses Saturday's quarter-final if Dortmund get there. 2-1 to Borussia Dortmund. We've played 10 minutes of the second half. Certainly that goal has lifted the Mexican fans. Thrown down the line by Svensson. Cleared away to touch by Aguero. Another throw to Dortmund, which once again Svensson steps forward to take. Former Neuschle player. Gets it back from Garassi. And reverse ball to Garassi. That was almost a brilliant ball from Necha. Reverses it back into the penalty area on the left-hand side. And don't think it was good, though it was from Mecha. I think Garassi read it well at all. He was too slow on the uptake. By the time he realised what was happening, the ball had pinged past him and straight up for a goal kick. So it's that one had some dimension to that midfield, that's for sure. There's a ball into the penalty area from wide on the left with Anton. It's gone all the way through. With Ryerson, deep delivery. Svensson to Adeyemi, back to goal, edge of the penalty area, works his way backwards, gives it to Bentabani. Anton finds Adeyemi, dabs it wide. Svensson, quick ball in. Sabitzer can't really make the pass count. It's cleared away by Monterrey. One back very quickly by Benzebaini. Good interception by Medina. Now Aguero, wide on the right-hand side. He's been brought down from behind by Adeyemi. That will be a free kick to Monterrey, trailing by 2-1, but they got that goal back through Bertarama. Argentine striker reducing the deficit, giving Monterrey a little hope. Rodos taking that free kick. Now it's Medina. The last 10 minutes, recovery time when they give the ball away. For Monterrey, it's 10 seconds. For Borussia Dortmund, 39 seconds. It's the last 10 minutes. It gives you an indication of the determination in the early stages of the second half of Monterrey, who have got that goal through Jermaine Bentarame. Medina. Get it back from Corona. Don't have any width as such, only the two wing backs, so it's important that they get forward, and they need to get forward more. Canales and Corona are really there and everywhere, but they're not really wing players. Pull back to the edge of the penalty area. Here's Corona. It's a great play to get in there first from Mecha. He's then brought down, and that's going to be a free kick to Borussia Dortmund. A foul by the Mexican international, Jesus Corona. It remains 2-1 to Dortmund. Slightly more on a knife edge now, which does, from a neutral point of view, really ramp up the game itself. Because at 2-0 you felt that Dortmund were in control. You always felt that one goal for Monterrey, they had to score that next goal at 2-0, and they did. The goal has certainly beefed up the buzz around this stadium, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Ball forward by Corbo, can't quite get the flick on. Ganassi, knocked up at the back by Sergio Ramos, and out wide to Arteaga. Take his time. Sergio Ramos takes it off of Oliver Torres. Medina. But that midfield player, George Rodriguez, who's kind of the centre of the three defenders, but he's trying to push forward at every chance, and he's played a long ball forward, and there could be a chance here for 2-2. And it's a save by Kobal to keep up Bertarama, and Bertarama was a through again there on goal. And one long ball was the undoing of Dortmund, not for the first time. It's just straight through the middle. And the yellow boots of Bertarama through on goal. He got away from Nicolas Sula. Got the shot in, but it was on target and at the goalkeeper. Sticking his hands up in the air and beating it away for a corner was Gregor Kobel. That could have easily been 2-2. Two of the Mexican players surrounding the referee, wanting more than just a corner. They felt there was a foul, but I don't think they're going to get it. Yeah, I did have a quick inspection, and in fact, it's not going to be a corner. It's going to be an offside decision against Bertarama, so that wouldn't have counted. Flag did go up belatedly. Not sure why they were. Well, they thought they deserved the corner. I think Monterrey, and kind of took the impetus out of the attack. Good save by the goalkeeper. It was a save that Gregor Kobel was expecting to make. The saves that he's made tonight have been important ones, but ones he's been expected to make. At the hour mark, Dortmund not so comfortable now. It's a really interesting game. Torres tries to get it wide to Bertarama. Cleared away by Sola. Towards Ganassi, who was brought down from behind, so a free kick inside their own half to Borussia Dortmund. Recap of the game so far: Ganassi with 2 goals inside 10 minutes, both assisted by Adeyemi. Should have had another 2 before half-time. Should have been put to bed really for Daesh Schwarzenegger. Might regret those chances, because Monterrey struck back through Bertarama in the second half. Different game now, whole different ball game. Bellingham's gone off. Joe Bellingham, yellow card in the first half means he will miss quarter-final if it's Borussia Dortmund to make it through. And they are on the way. They are 2-1 up here. Bentabani. It's it wide to Svensson. Bentabani again. Mecha. Manchester City player, then moved on to Wolfsburg, now a German international. It's good play to find Gross, chests it down, right of centre, chips it into the box towards Adeyemi. Good header away by Aguero. Gets the return from Diosa. Aguero down the line, cut out quickly by Anton. They want the throwing down below and it suddenly bubbled over. Ferocious gesture and a finger wag from the Borussia Dortmund coach Niko Kovac. Suddenly tempers fray. The South American and Central South American sides don't take a lot to ignite a heated debate, let's say. It was a foul on Benzabena down below from Bertarama. Don't know what the big deal was about. The referee just blown his whistle and given the free kick rather than try to let it go, then it would have been a problem. Monterrey have it in the midfield, but the pass to Diosa was short. Sabitzer can play over the top. It's not a good touch from Rodriguez. substitute, 23-year-old Jan Kuta, no one really in there. Brand reversing it back. Sula helping it forward. Lightning appears to be getting closer to the stadium. That's what we can to the conclusion of this match before it sets in. Ryerson gets to the byline. Can he keep it in play? Does keep it in play. Done really well, the fullback. Ross just keeping the ball is the name of the game now for Dortmund. Forward towards Ryerson from Sula. Nice touch to find Ross again. Now Sabitzer. Sabitzer. Left of centre. Calms things down. Slows things down. Option to the left in Daniel Svensson. Svensson will go all the way back to Bensabani. Bensabani pings the ball in towards the edge of the penalty area, but where it went was where Brandt had just run from. Run ahead of the ball. What we do quickly, have it back again with Sula. Sabitzer. Savani. Side by Svensson. Triangle played on the left-hand side. Back to Bensabani again. That's a lovely touch from Brandt. Into the feet of Pascal Gross. No nonsense. Down to earth. Grafter of the midfield player, but he has a tremendous free kick, a good assist record as well. Pascal Gross, another assist almost today. One of those big chances missed by Garasi. 14 assists in the competitions this season. For the last 2 minutes, they've just kept the ball, Dortmund, and they've done it really well. It's Brandt, lovely touch from him. Dribbling past two. The right hand side, finding Kurta. Now out to the left hand side and Svensson into the penalty area. Garasi comes deeper and collects it, slows things down, rolls it out wide to Kurta. And Kurta to Garasi. Garasi's big and he's strong and he'll hold people off and he'll now run at people. 3 defenders in front of him, but he tried to play it inside. Failed to find Svensson, needs to get back. Garasi's gone down. We want to get on with it. As quick as he went down there, Garasi, he's got back up again. Referee points to the watch. He says, look, you're not going to kill any time with me. I've got your card marked. I know exactly where you're going. Only 1 yellow card in this game, and it's gone to Joe Bellingham. He will miss the game on Saturday against his brother's team. Joe Bellingham's Real Madrid, providing Dortmund can hold on. 2 big factors here. Monterrey, they would go extra time. I'm just fearful that the brewing storm in the background may have a bearing on any extra time that's required. Header away by Svensson and Anton. Alice has gone off. Alvarado has come on. Search of this equalising goal. 5 minutes of stoppage time. Alvarado will go straight up top. Will it make a difference? They need that goal. Long ball forward. Taken down on the chest by Alvarado. Whipped it. It's a good ball as well. And a header, which was just wide. Well, that was their big moment. Who should it fall to? But Sergio Ramos. He's up from the back and he rises and he heads it and it looks like it's going to the top corner, but it just spins away from goal. So close for Sergio Ramos, very nearly an equalising goal. Holds his head, he looks up to the skies. With it he realises that perhaps his reunion with the old boys of Real Madrid might not happen on Saturday after all. We're a minute into 5. Still crackling in the background. It's the place to be at the moment. Dortmund leading by 2 goals to 1. A Real Madrid quarter-final showdown is on the cards, but Monterrey has still got time to try and change the course of this game. Right-hand side attack. Roberto De La Rosa, who is a defender, but he's playing as a winger at the moment, on loan from Pachuca. Mexican international, wins a throw right down by the corner flag. The throw has gone to Dortmund. Across to take it, it's Rami Bensabani. Now Algerian. Let's possess a long throw. Does check it up towards a halfway. Rushes off the head of Borussia. Ball forward. Aguera. Couto and out for a throw. 2 of the 5 minutes added on. Can Monterrey rescue their Club World Cup campaign? Never beaten a European opponent. Header from Anton. Really headed it straight past his goalkeeper and out for a corner, but he didn't put much on the header, so it dropped into no man's land. Kerbel comes in, the goalkeeper comes out and claims it. Gone down here, Benzabani. Trying to kill a little bit more time. It's going to be a drop ball for the referee. Drops it straight to the goalkeeper. Doesn't like the way he's dropped the ball, so he grabs it quickly before the goalkeeper does. It's a retake of a drop ball. Who's seen a retake of a drop ball before? So nearly 3 minutes of added time played. 5 were awarded. Long ball forward. Ryerson is the furthest forward. He's the wing back. He needs to get back. Yellow card has come out. Yellow card has been shown for an elbow by Gurasi. So he won't miss quarter-final with Real Madrid if they get through this one. Dortmund. Posing ball in, headed away by Benzabani. Good cross by Aguera. And they go again with Ambris. To Diossa. Diossa twisting and turning and looking at the options. Not much ahead of him, so he goes wide. Aguera hangs it in deep. Glanced away by Ryerson out towards the far side. A throw in down by the corner flag to Monterrey. Trailing by 2-1. They've got just over 60 seconds of stoppage time to rescue this and take it to extra time. Long throw into the box. Garassi's back there. Helped on by Julian Brandt. His volley will bounce away to the near side, coming out with his goal to the halfway line is Kobel. He's going to take this throw in on the halfway line. In fact, he chucked it 10 yards further forward than where it should be. Now he's got to sprint back Aguera before eventually taking the throw. Didn't do himself any favours there, the goalkeeper, by chucking it forward. He's just killed a few more seconds. Long ball forward out towards the far side. Ryerson cuts it out. He nicks it past 2 Monterrey players, and he's gone firing forward up towards the halfway line. Needs to get back again now to glance, and out comes Kobel and gathers in the penalty area, and they might just be there now. Borussia Dortmund came off Anton's head. It was enough to take it through. Orders from the touchline down below from Niko Kovac to calm things down, take their time. Long pump forward by Kobel up towards Gurasi, flicks it on, and it goes through to goalkeeper Andrada. Comes out of the penalty area into the right back position, and there goes the final whistle. The Lightning didn't arrive first, and Monterrey couldn't complete the comeback. It's Borussia Dortmund dominant in the first half. 2 goals for Sergei Gurasi that are through to play Real Madrid. The downside is that they will do it without Joe Bellingham, shown a yellow card in the first half. That's 2 in this competition, so he's suspended for the reunion with his brother. It's Borussia Dortmund against Real Madrid on Saturday. Should be a crack at that one. It's Borussia Dortmund that go through. Not for the want to triumph for Monterrey in the second half, but he didn't quite have enough cutting power to get the better of Dortmund overall. The final score here at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Borussia Dortmund 2, Monterrey 1. Congratulations to Dortmund through to the quarter-finals. Sergei Gurasi with 2 goals is also the player of the match. Thank you very much for your company this evening. Catch you all again soon. Thank you for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps, and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok.
If you look at the results of this study, take South Korea, for example, 58% of people saying they're not having the number of kids they want because of the costs, financial limitations. And I've spoken to people there, and what comes up again and again is the cost of education. All these grind schools the parents feel pressured to send their kids to, and they're really expensive. Interestingly, the government in South Korea isn't really interested in tackling that, and that's something concrete that they could do. But I've spoken to people there who say that's the jewel in our crown. Our education system is what dragged our country from low to middle to a high income country. So they're proud of it. And without the kind of willingness to tackle big things like that, like your education system, like housing, like unemployment, I can't see anywhere making a dent on this.
Stephanie, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
That is it for today. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Hannah Gelbart. This is What's in the World from the BBC World Service, and we'll see you next time.
In half an hour, World of Secrets, McKilling.
The option we will have to bring back the hostages is to apply more military pressure.
Also today, a dramatic twist in the trial of Sean Diddy Combs.
The mood in the court was really tense, so we could tell something serious seems to be happening here, even if we weren't expecting a verdict necessarily.
The jury is deadlocked on the most serious charge. Why orcas do this?
Killer whales actually approached people and stopped directly in front of them and then dropped the food and waited for their responses.
And later.
It's a beautiful island and it's definitely worth seeing. So I think €20 is not going to make the difference on whether people decide to come and see it or not.
Cruise ship passengers having to pay to visit popular islands. First, our top stories.
Hello, I'm Neil Nunes with the BBC News. President Trump says Israel has agreed to the necessary conditions to finalize the terms of a 60-day ceasefire in Gaza. Posting on social media, Mr. Trump said, "We will use the time to work with all sides to end the war." He said he hoped that for the good of the Middle East, Hamas would take the deal. Arunade Mukherjee has this report from Washington.
Donald Trump's announcement comes before a meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu scheduled for next Monday, in which the U.S. president said he would be very firm. There has been a build-up to a possible deal after President Trump said last week that his envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, thought they were very close. Talks at the end of May were stalled when Mr. Witkoff blamed Hamas for seeking what he said were totally unacceptable amendments to a U.S. proposal for the 60-day ceasefire.
The White House has confirmed that some U.S. weapons deliveries to Ukraine have been halted over concerns that U.S. stockpiles are too low. They would have included artillery shells and Patriot air defense missiles. Ukraine's been urgently requesting more Patriots to protect its citizens from Russian attacks. A White House spokesperson said the decision put America's interests first. The jury in the sex trafficking trial of the rap star Sean Diddy Combs has reached a verdict on most of the charges against him, but they're deadlocked on the most serious count of racketeering conspiracy. Sean Combs has denied all the charges against him. Namia Iqbal is outside the court in New York.
Sean Diddy Combs had his head in his hands. He was rubbing his eyes. An incredibly tense moment for him because the racketeering conspiracy charge is the more serious one. If he's convicted on that, he could face life in jail. And the judge told the jury to continue deliberating, to try and reach a unanimous verdict on that first charge. And so the jury will return to this courthouse at 9 a.m. on Wednesday morning to continue their deliberations.
The British government has faced a substantial revolt by its own MPs over legislation aimed at making it harder for some people to claim health and disability-related benefits. Despite last-minute concessions, 44 Labour MPs voted against the changes, but the bill still passed due to Labour's huge parliamentary majority. Our political editor Chris Mason has more details.
Not only did swathes of his MPs desert him, Downing Street was insufficiently nimble to first clock the breadth and depth of their anger, and then realise quickly enough the scale of what would be necessary to deal with it. Sir Keir Starmer will know he has to demonstrably get a grip, and quickly, after this deeply damaging episode for him.
World news from the BBC. The US Senate has narrowly passed Donald Trump's sweeping tax and spending bill on the casting vote of Vice President J.D. Vance. The chamber was deadlocked after 3 Republicans joined Democrats in opposing it. The bill, which returns to the House of Representatives, is likely to meet further resistance from within Mr. Trump's own party. The Australian airline Qantas says it's investigating a significant cyber attack after hackers infiltrated a system containing sensitive data on 6 million customers. It said there would be no impact on operations. More from Phil Mercer.
Qantas has apologised for the breach in security, the scale of which hasn't been made public. But the Australian airline says that some customers' names, email addresses, phone numbers and dates of birth have been stolen. Credit card and passport details weren't stored on the system that was infiltrated. The government's National Cybersecurity Coordinator is part of the investigation into what could be a huge cyber attack. Experts believe the notorious so-called scattered spider hacker group could be responsible.
A leading internet infrastructure firm has introduced a system to allow millions of websites to stop artificial intelligence bots from accessing their content without permission. Cloudflare, which hosts around a fifth of the internet, has rolled out a tool that targets what are known as crawlers. Many creatives have accused AI firms of training their systems on their work without permission or payment. Several Swiss authorities have thrown a funding lifeline to the International Red Cross and Red Crescent Museum in Geneva. For decades, it received support from the Swiss Foreign Ministry, but this was cut last year, when responsibility shifted to the Culture Ministry. New funding has come from the Canton of Geneva. BBC News.
You're listening to the newsroom from the BBC World Service with Oliver Conway. After agreeing to Israel's long-standing request to bomb Iran, the US president is now turning his attention to diplomacy in the Middle East. Donald Trump says Israel has agreed to conditions for a 60-day ceasefire in Gaza. In a social media post, he said he hoped Hamas accepts the proposal because, quote, it will not get better, it will only get worse. If there is an agreement, all sides would then work on a permanent end to the war, he added. Before the president posted, the BBC asked the Israeli UN ambassador, Danny Danon, why the military operation in Gaza was expanding if the Israeli government was ready for a ceasefire.
We want to apply pressure on Hamas because what's happening now that the US wants to see a ceasefire. The negotiators, Qatar and Egypt, putting pressure. Israel is willing to accept the offers that were put on the table by Ambassador Witkoff, but Hamas is playing hardball. So we are putting pressure on Hamas, and if they will not come to the table, The only option we will have to bring back the hostages is to apply more military pressure.
I asked our correspondent in Washington, Runade Mukherjee, what was known about this ceasefire plan.
So I think it is important to keep reiterating that at the moment, we still do not know what these, quote, necessary conditions, as Donald Trump put it, that Israel has agreed to are. And more importantly, will Hamas agree to them? Because that is what is going to be critical for the ceasefire and this proposed hostage deal to hold. Donald Trump in that post on Truth Social also, as you pointed out, warned that if there was no possibility of this deal from Hamas, then it would get much worse. So the indicators are that, look, this is this final proposal that we're putting out to you, and you've got to agree with what we're saying. So considerable pressure. And also, pressure on Israel as well. And we have to understand that this announcement is coming before that meeting that is going to be held between Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and President Donald Trump, scheduled for next Monday. And we do know that the US president had already, in a sense, warned that he would be very firm in that meeting. So I think the environment in that sense is a lot of pressure that they need to get this done.
Do we know what the sticking points have been up till now?
So that's not really been disclosed at the moment, but what we do understand is that there have been repeated attempts in the past for a deal to be worked at, or to be worked out rather. The president's Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, has been at it for a very long time. In fact, last week, you remember, President Trump said that according to his Middle East envoy, they thought they were very close, but there have been instances in the past where things have fallen through because of certain sticking points that both sides did not agree to. If you remember, talks at the end of May was stalled when Mr. Witkoff blamed Hamas for seeking what he said were totally unacceptable amendments to a U.S. proposal for the 60-day ceasefire. In March then, a previous ceasefire deal broke down after Israel launched fresh strikes on Gaza, calling its military action preemptive in the face of what it called were threats from Hamas. So there have been talks that have been taking place in a sense in an environment of distrust as well. So I think that is likely to still play out, which is why this still remains sensitive, which is also why we are yet to hear from Israel after Donald Trump's comments, and also, more importantly, Hamas on what they feel about this.
Runade Mukherjee in Washington. In New York, the jury in the trial of the rapper Sean Diddy Combs has reached a verdict on 4 of the 5 charges against him, including sex trafficking. But in a note to the judge, the jurors said they were deadlocked on the most serious count of racketeering. They've been ordered to continue deliberations on Wednesday. The verdicts have to be unanimous. Sean Combs denies all the allegations. Our reporter Madeleine Halpert was in court as the judge was handed the note from the jury. She spoke to the BBC's Nomia Iqbal.
The mood in the court was really tense. We weren't sure what the note was. We never know before the judge actually reads it out loud. But soon we could tell something's up here because Combs was seated in his chair. He had a really stressed expression on his face, and his lawyers started to huddle around him, like touching his shoulder. His children, who weren't there this morning, were suddenly, seated behind him. So we could tell something serious seems to be happening here, even if we weren't expecting a verdict necessarily.
So we have a partial verdict on 4 of the charges, but we don't know what that verdict is yet, right?
Right. We don't know what the verdict is. We know that they've reached an agreement on counts 2, 3, 4, and 5. And count 1, they seem to not be able to reach an agreement on because some people have unswayable opinions.
And so they've been sent out to continue, they've gone home for the night. They'll return tomorrow to continue deliberating. Just to remind, that charge, racketeering conspiracy, that's a really complicated charge. Even when you look at the verdict sheet, there's so many different parts to it.
It is the most complicated charge and also the most serious charge. He faces life in prison, potentially, if he's convicted of it. So it makes sense that this is the charge that the jurors are taking the longest time to kind of go over. It's a hugely complicated charge that is difficult for the average person to understand.
And I also want to mention, Madeleine's been covering this case for 7 weeks. We're in the 8th week now. It's the final phase. Can you just sum up what it's been like?
It's definitely mayhem, I would say. I've covered several court cases, but this is like nothing we've seen before. The characters inside and outside of the courtroom, lots of influencers, supporters of Diddy. We've just seen a massive amount of activity inside of the courtroom like we've never seen before.
And his family's been here every day.
His family has been here every day, including his twin daughters, his son, as they talk about really intense testimony. We're talking about sex trafficking and really intimate details of their father's sex life that they're sitting there and listening to.
It's really hard to sort of overstate just how huge this trial is, right? We're talking about, this is a man who's really part of this sort of culture in this country, and that's why you have so many influencers here, so-called influencers, capturing this moment?
Absolutely. You really get that sense from the people who are here. I mean, every single day there are tons of people who are waiting hours in line to watch this trial, and that's all because they know Combs, they grew up with his music, or, you know, he means something to them, or perhaps the opposite, perhaps they're not a fan of him. So you really get the sense being at the court of what a huge impact this trial can have.
Madeleine Halpert and Nomi Iqbal outside the courts in New York. Killer whales, as the name suggests, have a fierce reputation as predators. But a new study has found that orcas sometimes offer to share their food with people. Researchers from Canada, New Zealand and Mexico recorded more than 30 instances over 2 decades where whales offered prey such as seabirds and jellyfish to humans. Richard Hamilton spoke to the lead author, Jared Towers, from Bay Cytology, a marine biology research team in Western Canada.
It began for me personally in 2015 when a killer whale offered me a dead bird. And in 2018, a different killer whale offered my colleagues and I a dead harbor seal. And I started to find out that killer whales in different parts of the world, including California, Argentina, New Zealand, Mexico, Norway, had also engaged in this kind of behavior, from different kinds of fish to marine mammals, including sea otter and gray whale, to even sea turtle in one case. Killer whales are well known for being curious, and sometimes they'll kill the prey item and they'll swim past a boat or a person with it and show people their prey. But in these cases, killer whales actually approached people and stopped directly in front of them and dropped the food and waited for their responses. And that's the difference. Rather than just killing something and showing a person what they have, these cases were very deliberate.
What do you think they were trying to do?
Prey sharing is really foundational to the evolution of killer whales, just like it is for us. You know, it's probably the reason that they've evolved to be so clever, and they're very social animals. So I think prey sharing is just a way to practice learned cultural behavior for killer whales, while also engaging in interspecies exploration. In this case, investigating the capacity of humans to engage in reciprocity.
Is it almost like a film, you know, aliens coming to Earth and offering us something instead of turning up with guns?
It's a really good way to make that comparison, because we are species of completely different biomes, and we're both very advanced in our cognitive abilities. Perhaps us being on the water is very alien to killer whales, and these cases may represent instances of them trying to investigate more about who we are. Killer whales and people have been known to form relationships in the wild. An example of that is whaling in Australia about 100 years ago, where killer whales would lead whalers to whales. People would kill them and then let the killer whales feed on the tongues before hauling the rest of the carcass back to shore.
So do you think this changes how we view killer whales?
It definitely does. A lot of people realize that killer whales are very evolved to begin with, but this really spells it out and provides just another example of exactly how alike we are in some cases.
Marine biologist Jared Towers. You're listening to the newsroom from the BBC World Service. Still to come, we look back at the life of Christian televangelist Jimmy Swaggart, who has died at the age of 90. Artificial intelligence relies heavily on information scraped from the internet by bots known as crawlers. These are programs that explore the web, indexing and collecting data as they go. Website owners, writers and artists have struggled to prevent their work being used without permission or payment. The New York Times has filed a lawsuit against OpenAI and Microsoft, and the BBC recently threatened legal action against US-based AI firm Perplexity. But now one of the biggest internet infrastructure companies, Cloudflare, says it has a solution, as I heard from our senior technology reporter, Chris Valens.
Imagine you're a magazine publisher. You've got a website, it's got articles, it's got pictures on it, and so regularly you see programs operated by AI companies crawling over your site, finding the data there, copying data, and you believe sending it back to the AI firm to be used as the basis of training AI systems, which will then produce text and articles that may compete with your service. You're pretty unhappy about this. Certainly some of the publishers are. What is happening here is that Cloudflare, which is an internet infrastructure company that's used by about 20% of live websites, what they're doing is they're effectively creating a system that will stop those programs operated by AI businesses effectively crawling all over your site, blocking these robotic programs, these bots, from, as you would see it, copying your stuff without recompensing you.
Presumably, Cloudflare will offer this to all their customers. Might it be rolled out more widely than that?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, Cloudflare have a fairly big chunk of what's out there on the internet, and what they're offering has been sort of, if you like, endorsed by a number of big publishers like the Associated Press, like Sky News, like Condé Nast. But that still leaves a lot of stuff that isn't covered by this type of system. So it's interesting to see whether other sites will look at this and take this as a model, and other similar businesses to Cloudflare might take this as a model. I think it's important to say that some experts have sort of looked at this and said, well, look, that's as far as it goes. But really, you know, for those who believe that there is a problem here, that if you like, intellectual property is at risk, and it should be said the AI companies generally dispute this, for people who think that, what's needed is not just a technical solution, but legal solutions through legislation and through settling matters in the courts.
Have we had any response from AI firms to this use of a blocker?
Not that I've seen yet, but I think the general gist of what AI firms say in response to this kind of claim that they are somehow profiting from other people's stuff and using their content without permission or recompense is to sort of, if you like, argue that that's not what they're doing here, that the analysis of what's out there in the public domain isn't in and of itself a breach of copyright.
Our senior technology reporter, Chris Valence there. Founded in 1961 by President Kennedy, the U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID, has now been officially dissolved. The White House says instead it will focus on advancing U.S. interests, investing in America's allies, and countering China. Former presidents George W. Bush and Barack Obama both said work of a USAID is still needed. New research by the Lancet Journal suggests more than 14 million of the world's most vulnerable people, a third of them children, could die because of the aid cuts. Mozambique's one of the countries affected. Zunaid Suarez works with humanitarian programs in the city of Pemba.
There is a family that I recently met in Mies, Metuj. It's a district near Pemba, the city where I'm living now. Both parents, their 3 kids, they fled for more than 5 years now, fled violence. They were before, of course, supported even with our organization here, with basic shelter, food, legal help, documentations. We supported them with the resources we had, but we were facing this funding cut. People are being left without water, without shelter. Let me tell you another family that I met recently. In the past, there was a water tank in the area maintained by a humanitarian organization, and it was a lifeline. But after the funding cuts, that organization had to stop their operation, and the water system collapsed somehow. So now that mother with their kids, she has to walk 4 hours one way to reach a water point. And that's 8 hours every time with 2 or 3 jerry cans of water. Every time she leaves, she's terrified for her safety and the safety of her children. What we're seeing today in Mozambique, particularly in areas affected by conflict and natural disaster, is a bit alarming. The recent funding cuts, especially, are not just figures. They are leaving families hungry, exposed, and somehow increasingly forgotten.
Zunaid Suarez from the Norwegian Refugee Council. The Dalai Lama, the exiled spiritual leader of Tibetan Buddhists, is expected to give clues about his eventual successor today. He's due to meet senior Buddhist monks this morning ahead of his 90th birthday at the weekend, and may well share information about where his successor, a boy or a girl, could be found following his death. Our correspondent, Samira Hussain, is in the North Indian town of Dharamsala. What is happening there, Samira?
Well, right now, I'm just actually outside the monastery that bears his name, and many religious leaders are gathering here. They're going to be having a meeting, and it is
part of this meeting that we're expected to hear a pre-recorded message from the Dalai Lama, and many are expecting that this is when we're going to hear some kind of ideas or what he's thinking in terms of a succession plan. Remember, we're here because he is turning 90 years old, and so there's a lot of question about what happens after this 14th Dalai Lama. And so everyone is really sort of apprehensive and full of anticipation, really wondering what it is that he's going to say.
Yeah, how does the succession work?
Well, there is the traditional way in which you wait until the current Dalai Lama passes, and then basically the other religious leaders will come together and they will look for the reincarnation of him, probably a small boy around 3 to 4 years old. Now that is the traditional way. It's the way that it's always been done. But there is question about whether or not this Dalai Lama might break with tradition and look for someone while he's still alive, or even look for someone who is older. Because of course, the big question here is China. There's a lot of concern about what China may do, because China has it's pretty clear that they're going to appoint their own Dalai Lama, because there's going to be this gap in terms of when there won't be a religious leader, a spiritual leader here. And that's the big concern, that to try and avoid some kind of power shift when there's a bit of a vacuum.
So, sorry, just to explain for that, how would China appoint its own Dalai Lama?
Well, remember that China says that it is the one country that is able to appoint the next Dalai Lama. They have even passed a law saying as such, because remember that Tibet was part of China until the occupation in the 1950s, which is why you had so many Tibetans fleeing China and making their home here in the Himalayan town of Dharamshala in India. And so because they feel that they are the only country that can actually appoint a Dalai Lama, there is concern that this Dalai Lama is going to be forced upon the people, not only just those in Tibet, but even globally.
Okay, Samira, many thanks indeed. Samira Hussain in Dharamsala in northern India. Could be very interesting to see what the Dalai Lama says in that statement later today. The Christian televangelist Jimmy Swaggart, who was one of the most influential preachers in America before a dramatic fall from grace, has died at the age of 90. He suffered a cardiac arrest last month. Reagan Morris in Los Angeles looks back at his life.
Jimmy Swaggart's charismatic sermons and honky-tonk songs were made for television. He created a megachurch in Louisiana with a global reach, beaming into millions of homes around the world and collecting tens of millions of dollars in donations. Swaggart was a powerful force during the moral majority U.S. political movement, which helped elect Presidents Ronald Reagan and George Bush. But in 1988, he was photographed with a sex worker outside a Louisiana hotel. He tearfully begged for forgiveness, live on television.
I have sinned against you, my Lord. And I would ask that your precious blood would wash and cleanse every stain.
Many forgave him for his sins, including his wife Frances, who remained by his side. The incident led to him being defrocked by the Assemblies of God, though he continued to preach, but with much less influence.
Reagan Morris on Jimmy Swaggart, who's died at the age of 90. Tourist taxes are being imposed in more and more holiday destinations to raise money or control numbers. Greece has just announced a huge increase in its tourist tax for the thousands of cruise ship passengers who descend on the islands of Santorini and Mykonos in high season, as Wendy Urquhart reports.
The sun-drenched, whitewashed villages and striking blue domes of Santorini are famous the world over. And having been there myself, I can confirm the sunsets are absolutely stunning. But frankly, the island's beauty is causing major problems. Some 15,000 people live on Santorini, and in the height of summer, its picturesque villages and cobbled streets are heaving with tourists. And it's just as mad in the off-season. When I was there last October, I couldn't get near the front of the viewing platforms at sunset because those in the know had commandeered the best spots long before I arrived. Last year, 5,490 cruise ships with a total of 8 million passengers on board docked in Greece. Athens was the top destination, Santorini was second, and Mykonos a close third. Islanders complained that over-tourism is a massive drain on resources and claim it's led to astronomical rental prices. And the Greek authorities are also deeply concerned about the impact of such a huge footfall, particularly after recent earthquakes. So they've slapped a tourist tax of $23 per person on every cruise ship passenger disembarking in Santorini and Mykonos in high season. It will drop to $14 in October, just under $5 from November to March, and $14 per person in April and May. The hike in tourist tax has received a mixed reaction from tourists.
I think it's a beautiful island and it's definitely worth seeing. So I think €20 is not going to make the difference on whether people decide to come and see it or not.
I can understand the reasons they do it, but I don't think it is the right thing to do because tourism brings a lot of money to the islands.
Business owners are also divided. Shop owner Athanasio Michalopoulou says big families who are on a budget might think twice about visiting the island, whereas wealthier tourists won't mind paying the extra. But shop owner Yorgos Kavzopoulos disagrees. Santorini is a #1 global destination, he says. People are happy to pay to go to Venice or Capri, so why shouldn't we be competitive? Needless to say, the new charges haven't gone down well with cruise ship companies, who insist it's unfair to target their passengers. And they're certain it won't make one jot of difference to over-tourism.
Wendy Urquhart with that report. Our main world news once again. President Trump says Israel has agreed on conditions for a 60-day ceasefire in Gaza, and he's urged Hamas to take the deal. That's it for now from the newsroom.
This is the BBC World Service with the story that brings together basketball, rock music, and the Olympics.
This story is at its heart a struggle and a dream.
It's 1992. After the fall of the Soviet Union, the upcoming Barcelona Olympics could be Lithuania's first chance to prove itself on the world stage.
Against the backdrop of an impoverished country finding its way after independence, they've defied all odds to pull together a national basketball team.
One of their more unexpected donors is American rock band The Grateful Dead.
All that stands between Lithuania and their dream of competing is the one question. Are they good enough to make it through the qualifiers?
Find out in Bill Walton's The Grateful Team.
Sunday at 21 GMT, or search Amazing Sports Stories online or on the BBC World Service app.
Coming up on the BBC World Service, it's part 3 of World of Secrets, The Killing Hall.
It was a gang that claimed responsibility for the murder of Indian hip-hop star Sidhu Moosewala. We've uncovered details of the criminal networks that underpin the Punjabi music industry.
If they pay, everything's fine. If they don't, then we know what to do to get the money.
World of Secrets is after the news.
BBC News with Neil Nunes. In a social media post, President Trump says Israel has agreed to the necessary conditions to finalize the terms of a 60-day ceasefire in Gaza. He urged Hamas to take the deal because, in his words, it will not get better, it will only get worse. The White House has confirmed that some U.S. weapons deliveries to Ukraine have been halted over concerns that U.S. stockpiles are too low. The shipments would have included Patriot air defense missiles, which Ukraine urgently needs. The jury in the sex trafficking trial of the rap star Sean Diddy Combs has reached a verdict on most of the charges, but they are deadlocked on the most serious count of racketeering conspiracy. Sean Combs has denied all the charges. The British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has won a vote on welfare reform after his own party forced him to make concessions. 44 Labour members voted against the legislation. The Australian airline Qantas says it's investigating a significant cyber attack after hackers infiltrated a system containing sensitive data on 6 million customers. Costa Rica's Supreme Court has called on Congress to strip President Rodrigo Chavez of his immunity from prosecution so he can be tried on corruption charges. Costa Rica's National Assembly is controlled by the opposition. Operators of a missing methane detecting satellite have conceded it is probably irretrievably lost. Launched last year, the satellite was designed to track worldwide emissions of the potent greenhouse gas from oil and gas companies. And several Swiss authorities, including the Canton of Geneva and the Foreign Ministry, have thrown a funding lifeline to the International Red Cross and Red Crescent Museum. BBC News.
You're listening to World of Secrets, The Killing Call, from the BBC World Service, the third in our 5-part series into the killing of music star Sidhu Moosewala, the murder that shook India.